Okay, so I actually had a recording set up for Monday, but I had to just hold up to see the ultimate resolution of some of the things that I wanted to talk about initially. And of course, during the week, some other stories came up. So the three topics that I'll be talking about today are the BAFTA incident with the Tourette man and the accidental slur. Then just yesterday it was confirmed that Netflix has dropped out of the deal with Warner Brothers, so I want to also talk about that. Then there's also on the local front the issue of division. A lot of people are saying that they want to go ahead with the division narrative in Nigeria, triggered by the reluctance to forego constitutional level Sharia. So I'll be talking about those three things very briefly, or of course, I just hope it will be as brief as I can imagine. So, starting off with the BAFTA incident. So, you've probably heard by now that at the BAFTAs that happened just on Sunday, a man with Tourette's was present in the audience, and when Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo went up on stage to present an award, his Tourette's caused him to blurt out the N word while the room was silent. So the critique mainly has been that the BAFTAs aren't a live event. They are pre-recorded, and not only are they pre-recorded, but it's been confirmed that other segments of the show were cut out. So take, for example, the director of one of the films that won an award was during his acceptance speech, thanking the audience, thanking the voters and all of that. But he also mentioned Free Palestine, and that was reported to have been edited out. Then also later during the week, it was confirmed that a homophobic slur directed at the host of the event was cut out. Only the N-word was left in. And by the way, this homophobic slur was also from the man with Tourette's. Now, question number one, why is he there? He's there because there's a film about his life that won some awards during the event. So this begs the question, if they could cut out some of his other slurs and they could cut out some other things that could have been left in, then why couldn't they easily have cut out that particular slur, the most offensive of all, if were to make a ranking of them? And by the way, this didn't occur in a way that there couldn't have been a seamless editing of the exclamation. There was ample opportunity for the BAFTAs team, be it audio or audiovisual, to edit out that slur, but they did not. Did they so much as offer an apology for leaving it in? No, they did not. Of course, the man with Tourette syndrome didn't offer up an apology as well. So it's had people up in arms, like, what exactly is going on? Generally, the focus has shifted from the man to the BAFTAs for leaving it in intentionally. Glaringly, this is intentional. I'm not the kind of person to always assume motive. But if you can edit out other slurs from this man, but leave this one in when it is clear that you have ample opportunity to edit this one out easily, then it begs the question, what are your motives? Now, I can't confer motive onto them, of course. Motive, by and large, is self-declared. But actions, as they say, at times can't speak louder than words. And this type of action is oddly specific. So, what could be their motive for leaving it in? Now, the fact that I am talking about this thing 5 days after it happened possibly is what they were aiming for. Controversy, cheap controversy. This is why many people assume that the Grammys keep nominating people like Chris Brown and other controversial individuals just to garner cheap controversy and generate buzz. But at what cost? We had the Oscars one year that brought out John Cena walking naked. We had some other public stunts that can get people talking about your show, if that is what you want. Not when it comes to indirectly humiliating highly ranked actors. So, in my opinion, the actions are at the very least suspect. Of course, I can't confirm motive onto them, but these actions are at the very least suspect. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is Netflix bowing out of the Warner Brothers deal. Honestly, it is just what it is. I bid Warner Brothers good luck. Many people between today and yesterday have been saying that it's all going to go to the ruin now. All their favorite shows are going to be right-wing media. Effectively, everything has been right-wing media for a while. In fact, that's why Netflix has had a bit of the sharp end of the stick when it comes to right-wing criticism, because they've adamantly featured people of queer identities, minority races, and all of that in their media. By the way, it makes me laugh thinking that Black people are supposed to be considered a minority, despite the fact that if we're to take a rough global census, that it might result in people of the Black race, quote and unquote, being the dominant population. It might be. I don't have the exact numbers. All right? So whatever happens to the likes of CNN and whatever other company may be under Warner Brothers, good luck to them. Sincerely, it's their business. I am not exactly let down by this. I don't think I was actively looking out for anything Warner Brothers offered. So I personally didn't have that much of a vested interest in it. Now, people bring up HBO, all of HBO programming. Honestly, outside Game of Thrones, I don't think HBO has really wowed me the way people claim HBO is this upper echelon tier of television programming. Even Game of Thrones, I mean, we all saw how it ended. So I don't think that losing HBO is that much of a cause for concern. They can go with the Paramount people. I'm surprised they hadn't gone earlier, because the Paramount people had always presented the higher figure. It just looks bad on Netflix because they'd already promised their subscribers that they'd be incorporating Warner Brothers into their media and all of that. But it's, well, my hope is that both companies live to see greater days ahead, not just in terms of profit, but also in terms of their moral obligations to society as media houses, to present information as is in actuality and not through the lens of an obscured bias, as people assume Paramount Plus has been doing. I've been seeing a lot of talk about CBS going to the ruin ever since the Trump ally took over those companies. It's It's what it is. At some point, we're going to have not just Fox News, but variations of Fox News with different names. They've slowly been turning to variations of Fox News. So this is just the official stamp of approval, I assume. Lastly, I wanted to talk about the issue of people wanting division in Nigeria. The thing is, division, no division, countries will find a way. But the reasons for the division are what need to be checked. Now, this conversation has existed ever since I had ears to listen to people and understand what they're saying. What's bringing it up now is the idea that northern Nigeria doesn't want to let go of Sharia at the constitutional level. In my opinion, I feel Sharia needs to be let go at the constitutional level. Okay? Everywhere, globally. I'm not saying this to undermine the power of that framework of constitution. I'm just saying that one constitution needs to apply to human beings. Human beings living within the same country ought not to operate under different forms of constitution, because what can easily be considered a crime under a place that is guided by the Sharia law isn't a crime just within another state. And to me, it's unfair that some states have Sharia imposed on them, because not every person, number one, is even a Muslim within that state. But number two, among the Muslims, I assume not all subscribe to everything that Sharia has to entail. So I think it is safe that at the federal level or the constitutional level, to repeal Sharia and have just one constitution govern everyone. Then, of course, within your neighborhoods or societies or estates or families, you can impose your views on how the Sharia ought to be implemented within yourselves. There ought not to be a federal or state level implementation of theocracy. I don't think theocracies are what we need now. But then again, there could be something that I'm not seeing that would obscure my clarity to really comprehend the desire to have this at the state's level. So that's just what's bringing up the latest iteration of the Divide Nigeria conversation. Then I saw reports that America has gotten involved with trying to let us get enraged over the idea that they are insisting on keeping Sharia, that the US is mounting some form of social pressure on the states that practice Sharia to let go of the Sharia. To me, this speaks to the bigger conversation of, because it's foreign, I do not support. Now, I agree with, as I've said, repealing the Sharia at the state's level. But it coming from an external party like the US, I imagine is triggering that knee-jerk resentment a lot of people have when it comes to foreign ideals that they assume are non-beneficial to them or contradict with their vague ideas of what their culture ought to represent. Take, for example, a lot of people in Nigeria think queerness is a Western import. Feminism is a Western import. Left-handedness is a Western import for some people. But even if it is a Western import, does it serve you? Does it mar you, or is it a neutral thing? In my opinion, this particular Western import, which is not, it is not, because there have been Nigerians over the years that have said that the Sharia ought to be repealed. This Western import serves you. It's not a neutral import. It's not a derogatory import. This one serves you. It serves your state constituents, because now they are at liberty to freely move between religions as they wish. They are at liberty to critique views as they wish. Of course, the general constitution has provisions for mutual respect in society. But caging people constitutionally to a frame of ideals, to me, is unfair. So, unless there's something I'm not seeing that, of course, I hope I would, with time, see, I think it's for the better to repeal at the state level the Sharia. Because, of course, you read the Constitution completely and you would see that there are some things that are at odds with what is generally considered fundamental human rights. So I feel at the state's level, it can be repealed. This isn't to diminish the religion that provides Sharia, no. This is just saying that everyone within the federation ought to have the same set of liberties applied to them. And that's where I'll call the end of this recording. Let me know what you think. If I've spoken out of turn, it's entirely unintentional. I come meaning full respect. I do not intend to reduce or diminish any party that I may have spoken about in this recording. So where I may have misspoken, please point me into the correct direction. Thank you for listening.